Hey guys, I'm back with the second part of making the multi-piece removable handle scales. If you haven't caught the first video, we made these handles, the different sections of materials with the liners and spacers. And on this video, we're going to drill for the screw holes, do the countersinking for the screw heads, and do all the shaping around the edges. And on the last video, I'm going to show you guys a couple ways to chamfer those edges and some final finishing touches. So stick with me, guys. And if you haven't noticed, I got a new camera. I was getting a little discouraged with the quality that was coming out of my old camera, so I waited for Boxing Day. I went and picked up the Canon SL2, I ordered some lights, a microphone, and I picked up a new editing software. So I've been putting in some time trying to figure this stuff out. That's why it's taken me so long to get back to these videos, but now that I have, I'm going to stick with it. And up first, guys, we're going to line the spacer on both sides and then drill for the screw holes. So let's get to it, guys. I just want to show you guys a couple of examples of the multi-piece handles. On my last video I talked about how you can mix and match so many different things. Like for example, I have this ammonia burl with these nickel silver spacers. They're all different sizes with black G10 spacers and micarta with micarta liners. Over here I have 1x1 weave carbon fiber with more ammonia burl and micarta liners. These are all black G10 with red and green G10 spacers and liners. Over here is carbon fiber with blue G10, both of these. And I also have blue and black G10 with black liners. But anyway, guys, I just want to show you a few examples and let's get this stuff out of here. Alright, this is everything we're going to need for making removable handle scales. I picked up this Bosch rotary drill bit set off of Amazon. It was fairly cheap. I also got that from watching Ecom Knives video. On his video he uses 832 screws and he countersinks with the 5/16. On this video we're going to countersink with the 5/32 and we're going to use 256 pan head screws from McMaster. They say 1/4 inch, but you're better off with 1/2 to 3/8 and then just shortening them. You can get them in black or stainless steel. And you're also going to need 1/8 inch drill bits for drilling the holes. I got these off of eBay from Drill Hog. They're cobalt. And also from McMaster you're going to need some threaded standoffs. These are 256 thread. They're 1/4 inch long and they have an OD of 1/8 inch. You're also going to need a machinist square for lining the spacers up on the handle and something to clamp the handle to the blade. I recommend these can't twist clamps. I only have the one, so I'm going to use it alongside another clamp. And if you're going to want to drill and ream, you're going to need a number 31 drill bit and ream with an 1/8 inch reamer. It's not necessary, so we're just going to use the 1/8 inch bits. And you're also going to need a knife that you're using. This is one of the first knives that I ever screwed up when I was learning to hollow grind. I ground the tip a little too thin, but I'm going to use it for the sake of the video and just use it as a shop knife. I already have the knife clamped to the handles. It would take too long to show it on the video, but you're going to need two 1-2-3 blocks so you can raise the clamps off the table. And you're also going to want to make sure these spacers are lined up on both sides. I like to use a machinist square and just run it along and make sure they're all even. And with the spacer, I like to make sure it's in between the front two screws, and I just use a set of digital calipers and I check on both sides. We're going to drill the middle hole first. You want to give it some pressure so you don't get a helicopter. I like to put a 1/8 inch drill bit in there to hold it, because we're going to have to move the clamp to get this front screw. And that's it. I have those standoffs holding the handle to the blade. There's no screws, it's just the pressure holding it on. And you want to snap that top piece on here too. And you can also wrap the blade with tape so you don't scratch anything, but this is just a shop knife. And if you're having a hard time getting the blade to the handles, just use a clamp and go along the 3 screw holes. But we're going to come over here at the bandsaw and snip off some of these pieces so there's not as much G10 dust when we grind. I ended up taping the blade. The little part near the tip is really thin, so I don't want to cut myself. But we're going to grind the curved part on the handle. And I'm going to use a 5-inch contact wheel. And if you don't have a contact wheel, you can use the 2 little wheels on the side of your flat platen. And make sure you wear a respirator, guys. The G10 is extremely toxic when it's ground into fine dust. I just have that roughed out. I still need to clean it up, and I'm just going to do the rest of the handle on the flat platen and on the side wheels. Over everything with a 120 grit ceramic. It's still really rough. There's some belt bump I need to clean up. But you can see if the spacers are lined up. I'm going to go over the finger choil with the small wheel attachment. There's a 2-inch wheel. And if you don't have a small wheel attachment, you can keep using the 2 wheels on your flat platen. I just went over everything with an X65 Norax. It's the equivalent of a 220 belt. I like to do it all in stages. Like I'll start with the 60 grit. I'll do the 5-inch wheel, the flat platen, the 2-inch wheel, and then I'll move on and do the 120 grit and do them all again. And then same with the 220 or the X65 Norax. I find it just flows better when I do it that way. But right now we're going to get rid of that blockiness at the front. I like to do a big curve at the bottom and a smaller one at the top. But you can do it any way you want. You can do one big single curve, or you can do a triangle with a point, or you can do like a straight line with a curve. It's totally up to you. But we're going to do it on the flat platen. We just need to take the handles off first. I have the standoffs holding the handles together. I also snipped the front off with the bandsaw just to cut down on dust. But right now we're going to go on the flat platen with the 60 grit belt and do nice consistent passes just so you can get a nice clean curve. And then right after this you're going to do the 60 grit, the 120 and the X65 Norax. And then we'll go to the small wheel attachment to do the top curve. Okay, I'm going to grind the top curve on the 2-inch wheel on the small wheel attachment. And what's nice about the small wheel attachment is you can get all different size wheels. So you don't have to do a 2-inch curve, you can do any size. But I'm just going to use the 2-inch wheel because it's just a common size wheel. I like to line the front curve to the middle of the flats and then the back curve to the back of the jimping. Okay, we're going to go over to the drill press and do the countersinking for the screw holes. And all those little hot spots we're going to clean up on the next video when we do the hand sanding. You're going to need to take the handles off so you can countersink on both sides. We're going to use the Bosch rotary drill bits and countersink with the 5/32. I already have one chucked up in my drill press. You want to make sure it goes in nice and straight. Some of these smaller bits tend to have a little bit of run out. An easy way to countersink so all the holes are the exact same is to set your drill press so it barely bites in, and then use shims to get the right depth. I'm going to start with this thin piece of G10. When you go to countersink, you want to have a nice light grip and let the drill bit find center, and once it does, just give it some pressure. It's not quite deep enough, it needs to go down a little deeper. So I'm going to use a thicker piece of G10. I'm just going to use another piece of G10. See, it sits in there nice and flush now. Now I can go along and do the rest. See, the screw will sit in there nice and flush now. And it gives me a little bit of room to work with when we do the hand sanding. And now I can go along and do the other side. They're all finished up. They're the exact same depth on both sides. I have all the screws in just to see if all the holes are the exact same. I'm going to bring you guys over and show you a way to shorten the screws. I have this piece of scrap steel drilled and tapped with a 256 thread. And I have a screw screwed in there, and depending on how much you want to take off, you let it hang out the bottom. I'm going to go over on the flat platen with a 60 grit belt and grind all 6 screws down to the right size. And that's it, they're all the same length. Now they'll fit on the handle. I have the standoffs and screws holding the handles together. They're really blocky and there's scratches everywhere. On the next video we'll clean them up, do some hand sanding and do all the chamfers around the edges. With removable handle scales you want to make sure they're dead flat. If there's any little bit of gap in between the blade and the handle, moisture can get in there, and especially with high carbon steel, it can start to rust and eat away at your blade. If you want to use the large screws, you use 832. These are panhead from McMastercarr, and the threaded standoffs are also 832. They're 1/4 inch in diameter, and you drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit. And everything else you do the exact same that I showed on the video, just with the larger screws. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here. It's starting to get really long. Down in the description, I'm going to leave information on everything I showed in this video and where you can find it. If anybody has any questions, just put them down in the comments. Until I catch you on the next video, have a good one.